So I'm out here at dusk with the deer at a park in Pittsburgh, and I thought I would come and make a little video for y'all. Get into the light a little bit. So, as some of you may know, the BIPOC, Black Indigenous People of Color, Communiversity is a POC Herbal Freedom School, which is a program in the School of Liberation, Healing, and Medicine. And last summer and spring was off the chain, y'all. It was incredible. We raised enough funds for, I believe it was 12 people to be in the program. It's a 3-month program. It has 2 parts. Each are about 6 or 7-ish weeks. And, we talk a lot about decolonial healing and health and liberatory medicine, and always with an anti-racist lens, really centering the healing histories of Black and Brown folks, Indigenous folks, queer, trans, two-spirit, gender non-conforming, and non-binary folks. It's really important now with everything going down. White supremacists coming out the woodwork, we have all kinds of disasters, unnatural disasters happening, right? Affecting a lot of our communities, a lot of folks who are living below the poverty line, who are Black, Brown, Indigenous, queer, trans, two-spirit, non-binary, all of these identities, right? Or some intersection of these identities. And so the BIPOC Communiversity came about because in these times we really need to be with our people, talk through some of the things that we're going through, some of the impact of, colonialism, colonization, some of the internalized oppression, that's happening to us as well, and just to be supported by a community of folks who identify similarly and who may be working with their medicine in similar ways. Maybe they're not. You learn a lot about each other being in this group, because we are not a monolith, right? What is Black? What is brown? And what is even Indigenous or Aboriginal? We really look at our identities. We look at our ancestors. We look at the way that they held their medicine. We look at the impact of colonization on our ancestors. We also really reinfuse the spirituality that has been taken out of our medicine and our healing for, various reasons. We talk about the suppression of our medicine. And these are things that a lot of times aren't really discussed. And if they are, it's just kind of surface stuff, or, we don't have the space to really go in and talk about, how we're feeling when we read a certain Latin binomial that's racist, or, we don't even hear about Linnaeus and his part in, mystic racism or things like that, or just how this beautiful thing that he was trying to create around classification, how that has impacted us as people of color who are medicine makers even, and just people of color in general with the classifications of races, right? How that kind of came from that thought. And, I'm not going to go in here, take the program. No, I'm just kidding. But there's a lot to talk about, y'all. There is a lot to talk about, and 3 months is basically only a window into deeper learning, okay? Because, y'all, the anti-racist workshops that are 2 hours or even, 2 to 3 days, only scratched the surface in a lot of ways, because, you know, we have to take in that information and we have to, you know, integrate it and continue, you know, processing and, you know, learning and, you know, practicing. And, you know, it's a process, right? So in the BIPOC Communiversity, in the Herbal Freedom School, you know, we're trying to get free. But first, you know, it's about acknowledging that we're bound, you know, and some of us are there and some of us aren't. And some of us are still learning about things around liberation medicine. You know, well, what does it mean to be liberated in a space with other herbalists or healers, you know, and like, let's talk about how we're not all having the same experiences. Let's talk about how plant medicine is liberatory for us in different ways. And let's talk about like the connection to survival that many of our indigenous Black and brown ancestors have or had. You know, it's a lot. It's a lot of information. It's not easy. You know, the healing work is not easy. And there's a lot of internalized traumas that we're working with. And, you know, we're just taking a step in that direction on the healing journey, really. So if you're Black or Indigenous or person of color, join us in the BIPOC Communiversity, where we're going to go in on all of these things. We're not going to sweep white supremacy under the rug. We're going to, you know, partner with plants that are connected to our ancestral lands. And we are going to talk about the ceremony of medicine making. We're going to work with the seasons. We're going to work with the elements, or get to understand them a little bit more. We'll get to understand medicine making a little bit more in the ways that our ancestors did. We will connect with our local plants, and we'll talk about the land that we occupy right now, the peoples and their medicine, all of these things, y'all. So, you know, if you are a white accomplice, please support our healing and liberation. Please share about our campaign widely. We're trying to raise, first we're trying to raise $3,000 for the first session, which is the fall session. And that is going to cover 10 seats, you know, each at $250 plus the administrative and operational costs. So help us raise that $3,000. And we're going to continue to raise the other $3,000 for the winter session, which will start in January. So invest in our liberation, invest in our survival, and BIPOC, I hope to see you real soon in the program.